The rain drummed softly on the cafe windows, a soothing rhythm that wrapped around Vian as she gazed out, lost in thought. Her heart raced with the thrill of her latest dark romance novel. If only my life were that exciting, she sighed, stirring her coffee absent-mindedly. Then, with a sudden gust, the door swung open. A man, drenched and brooding, stepped in. The moment their eyes met, a strange calm washed over him. "What's so fascinating?" he grumbled, shaking water from his hair as Vian, looking at him, stunned. Jungkook, the heartless Mafia king, had just returned from another grueling mission. His mood was as dark as the clouds overhead. As he turned the corner, he caught sight of a small cafe, its warm yellow light sparkling like bacon against the dairy backdrop. Peering through the window, he spotted Vian. She stood by the glass, lost in the downpour, a soft smile lighting up her face as she watched the raindrops race each other down the pane. For a moment, the weight of his world seemed to lift. It was absurd. He barely knew her, yet something inside him stirred that pulled him inside Vian's cafe. Vian smiled awkwardly, coming back to her senses. She knows him, everyone does. But she didn't feel scared of him in any way like everyone does. She felt thrilled. "Ah, welcome. What can I get for you?" She tripped, her voice bright. "Coffee, black coffee," he replied, attempting to sound gruff, but his heart raced as he took in her innocent demeanor. Coming right up, she flashed him a smile that could have melted the coldest of heart. He was surprised by his own fluster. As she prepared his drink, Jungkook leaned against the counter, his icy exterior cracking slightly. "You enjoy the rain?" "It's my favorite. It's like the world is washing away its worries," she said, handing him the steaming cup. "And it makes everything feel magical, don't you think?" "Magical?" He said, his brows frowning. "I don't really believe in magic." A chuckle left from Ryan's mouth. It was obvious. How could a devil believe in magic? "Well, you should. It's all around us, like in the stories I read," she said, her eyes sparkling while Jungkook frowned. "Stories?" he asked while Ryan nodded excitedly, taking a seat on a stool. "I like dark romance novels. They are thrilling." "Thrilling, huh?" he said, intrigued. "What's so thrilling about them?" he asked, getting curious to know the reason that why her face lit up while talking about novels. "Oh, you know, the dangerous hero, the innocent girl, the wild adventuress." She leaned in closer, her voice dropping into a low whisper. "I sometimes imagine what it will be like to be swept off my feet by someone like that." Jungkook's heart skipped a beat. "And what will that someone be like?" "Kind, loving, and a little dangerous like you." She whispered the last word and looked away, biting her lip. "Someone who could take me on adventures I have only dreamed of." He chuckled, an unfamiliar warmth spreading through him. "Dark romance, huh? You mean like Mafia kings?" he asked with a smirk while Vian's grin widened. "Exactly. The brooding, dangerous type I dream of, wild adventures," she said dramatically, made Jungkook chuckle. He was quite surprised after knowing about her. The next day, curiosity drew him into her cafe again. Jungkook couldn't stop himself as if some kind of energy pulled him. He couldn't stop thinking about her. It was just a brief first meeting, but he felt something has changed in him. He never felt like that before. As Jungkook made his way towards Vian, he saw her admiring the rain through the window, her novel in her hands. "What's so fascinating about the rain?" he asked, eyebrow raised. "It's like nature's own symphony," Vian replied, her eyes sparkling. "And it pairs well with a good dark romance novel." She smiled and got up to make his coffee as he again ordered black coffee for himself. Jungkook also followed her and sat nearby to the counter so that he could talk with her. It was raining heavily, so there was no one in the cafe. He found it as a chance to know her more, and for his surprise, Vine was not looking uncomfortable, but he himself feeling a little nervous. "You have quite the imaginations. I prefer to call it a delusion," she said, a playful glint in her eyes. "But it's more fun that way." She handed him coffee cup, pretending all cool, but in reality only she knew how she controlled those thousands of butterflies that born in her stomach just by seeing him. "Well, what about you?" After a short pause, she asked, Because now she also want to know about him to feel thrilled. Just finish a mission, he replied and grinned. Not exactly a fairy tale, Van laughed. I know, right? What do you think about dark romance novels? There is everything mafias do. She proudly said, tapping her nails on her book cover. Jungkook raised his brow. Jungkook found himself drawn to her fearless innocence. You are different, he said, leaning against the counter. Why are not you scared of me? He curiously asked. His heart was beating so fast like he was in examination room. His heart never beats in this way before. He was a mafia, a ruthless one. He does many scary things, but falling for a girl made things difficult for him. Why should I be? One laughed. The sound bright and carefree. You are like my dark hero come to life. She immediately stopped her breath. Just her heart was pounding and she could feel it, while Jungkook smirked. That's quite interesting. You call me hero of your story? I'm a villain of others. He teased. Vivian could feel her cheeks turning red. She quickly turned around, pretending to find something on her drawer, while Jungkook chuckled. Omo, it's like my fictional man come to life. He's so cool, so handsome. It's like my faceless man of my imagination got face, and that too so perfect with sharp features. She threw her leg in air excitedly and rolled on her bed until she falls down from her bed. Ouch! My bombastic hurts. She got up and sat on her bed. It's time to fall in love, not fall on the floor. God, let me be in my daily world. Please make that mafia fall for me. One screamed in excitement after praying as her delusional mind started working wildly. It's not one sided, but the fire burned both sides equally. Here, Wine making Khayali Pulao, watching dreams of her future, and on the other side, the heartless mafia king, a tough guy, was getting restless to meet his first love again. His heart was first time beating on a new rhythm. Days turned into weeks, and Jungkook found himself returning to the cafe, drawn to Wine's infectious laughter and lively spirit. He discovered her fearless nature. She wasn't afraid to speak her mind, even if it meant challenging him. One evening, as they closed up the cafe, Jungkook watched her dance around the tables, humming a tune. What are you doing? He asked, amused. Now, as they both got closer, Jungkook daily visited to her cafe and drove her back to her home just to make sure her safety. Just getting lost in my world, she replied with a giggle. Want to join? She asked while he shook his head. Maybe I would rather just watch, he said, leaning against the wall, arm crossed. Come on, what's the worst that could happen? She teased, grabbing his hand and pulling him into her little whirlwind. Her soft touches every time blooms a rose in his chest. He found himself more comfortable around her. The more they were getting closer, the more he was finding a new side of her and himself. Okay, okay, he laughed, surrendering. As they danced, the world outside faded, and for the first time in years, he felt alive. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, Jungkook decided it was time to confess his feelings. They sat on a bench outside the cafe, their thick with anticipation. When he began, his voice surprisingly soft. Wait, she interrupted, her eyes wide. Before you say anything, I need to confess something too. Jungkook felt his heart stop. He found himself gulping hard. Okay, he said, intrigued. I have those wild fantasies, you know. She said, her cheeks flushing. About dark, dangerous men like really dark. You will not believe the things I imagine. Jungkook raised an eyebrow, a mix of shock and amusement flooding his face. Like what? Like being kidnapped, but not in a scary way. More like a thrilling adventure. And then we escape together, just like in my books. She rumbled, her excitement palpable. You are serious? He chuckled, a deep, rumbling sound. So serious, she replied, biting her lip, scanning his face for a reaction. Okay, but I'm not letting anyone harm you. I can't take risks with your life, so my man will kidnap you and then I'm going to save you. Don't worry, you will not going to regret. He said, his lips curling up into a smirk. while Vian looked down with her red cheeks. I have other fantasies too, dark wild fantasies. I hope you got me what I'm trying to tell you, right? She awkwardly smiled. Yeah, I know what you are talking about. His Megwai one gasp. You know means you know. I mean, I thought you are innocent, not like other pervert mafias. Jungkook frowned looking at her. It doesn't mean I'm like those perv. And you didn't tell me those dark wild fantasies of yours. He intentionally highlighted those words while Vine laughed awkwardly, scratching her head. And by the way, if that's the case, so you are perfect too, because you know better what kind of bombastic fantasies you have in your brain. He tapped on her head and a glare from Vine. So you want me to fulfill your fantasies? He asked, his heart racing at the thought. Vine nodded. Yes, she exclaimed, practically bouncing on the bench. I mean, you are like my dark hero come to life. You could totally pull it off. Jungkook felt a rush of adrenaline. Alright then, let's do it. But you better be ready for a wild ride. Her eyes sparkled with mischief. Oh, I am ready. She clapped in excitement made Jungkook juggle. You are wild, you know that. Wild? Just a little. She teased, biting her lip, and with a swift movement, he captured her in a heated kiss. I love you, Ryan. From now on, he whispered, pulling back just enough to meet her gaze. I will make sure every one of your wild fantasies come true. Wine green, her heart racing. I can't wait. Wait, you didn't tell me your fantasies, Wine. Aish, they are watching us through their mobile phones, babe. I don't want Namjoon Oppa shaved our eyebrows.